Hi, this is Ed Bracy, and welcome to Making Major Moves. Today, I have two of our luminaries with me. I have, first of all, Leisa Peterson, who happens to be a certified financial planner, a best-selling author now, and also a wealth coach. And also, I have Ellen Serge Gruetzmacher. And Ellen is the founder of Synergy of Empowered Women and also a business executive. And tonight, I am putting them both on the hot seat and asking them this question. What event in the last 7 to 10 days has caused you to celebrate and brought you your greatest triumph? Okay, who wants to begin?
I can go first.
Okay.
So thanks so much, Ed, for having us here. It's great. And it's a great question because I think that I have had a very exciting few weeks. And what has really happened for me is, as we've discussed before, I've been building a business over the past 2.5 years, internet-based coaching and education and retreats. And what I had a big light bulb moment around is oftentimes we start a business, and when we're starting something new, we tend to kind of myopically look at the challenge, which is I'm new at this and I've got to learn all these new things. And it's really easy to get kind of sucked into all the new stuff that you don't have big understanding around. And so there was a big convergence this past few weeks with some clients that I took on that are much more established, much more successful than the people I had been targeting early on in my business. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was new and I wasn't confident. And so I was working with more beginner businesses, startups, and people that were getting their business going. And recently I started to shift that, and people started showing up who had very successful businesses, $5 million, $10 million, $15 million in revenue. And it was so cool because by working with them and them giving me a chance, I realized that I had so much more to offer than what I had first realized, because I was a little consumed by being new and there being all the things that I didn't know. So what has been just so exciting is that I have a lot of experience. We all do. I think the people on this call that you're calling to are not just right out of high school. Like we've got a lot of experience behind us. And I think that the exciting thing is when you can create a business that's based on not just your experience, but also your passion and the things that you really love to do. And they all start to converge together where I'm showing up fully authentic and the person that I want to be. I'm pulling from the experience that I have obtained through a very long and successful career, and then adding in all kinds of things that are outside of my comfort zone. But that's what makes it exciting, and it keeps it really interesting for me and keeps me growing. So it's really just a convergence of a whole bunch of different parts of my career and my loves coming together that has been kind of that revelation. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. A little bit of a follow-up. I understand that you've had some recent success with a book.
Yeah, that's right. I did. And it kind of a funny story. I had written this book right when I started my business a couple years ago, and started using it as a freebie on my website. It's called 5 Simple Steps to Creating Wealth Mindfully. A really simple 33 pages. And I had, because it just came so easily, I had been giving it away. I had several people say, well, why haven't you, published this to Amazon? And I thought, well, it's kind of short. Like I'm writing this long book and it's really meaty and it's got so much depth to it. And they're like, well, get this other one out. It's really good. So finally, he kept, one person in particular has had a great success who's on my email list, and he's published several books and is making a lot of money. He said, Leisa, do it now. And he just kept emailing me. And finally I said, I give up, I better do something. So sure enough, I posted, I go through the steps of getting the cover, getting it formatted. I did it all myself, which is kind of cool. It didn't cost anything or very little, less than $100. And I post it and I share it with just a few people that I was so excited about. And all of a sudden, within 24 hours, it had made bestseller status in finance books, in wealth management. It was crazy because my book was right there next to like Elizabeth Gilbert and in her Big Magic book in success books. That was the other one that I went to like number 4. And so it proved to me that we sometimes downplay the things that we're bringing to the world, right? And don't give them a chance. But in this case, it went to bestseller status. It's still, I looked at it today and it's like 100, I don't know, in the 100 range for wealth management. And I haven't been promoting it. So I can tell that there's huge potential, you know, the more attention I want to give to promoting it. But it was just a huge win to have a bestseller. It was a bestseller status for a week or so and kind of kept bumping around. And I actually didn't do very much. And it continues to be read pretty consistently. So yay.
Well,
Yay!
congratulations. And I'll also say you inspired me because I'm writing again. Okay?
Yay! Everyone should. We all have a story. We all have good stuff to share with the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, great. And before we go to Ellen, I want to tell you guys, I have a follow-up question and you brought it up. So I'm going to follow up with this also. Ellen,
Okay.
share with us some of the great things that have been happening for you also.
Well, so, you know, I've had this major life change over the last year. In addition to being the founder of Synergy of Empowered Women, which really is kind of just a personal, or I don't want to say just a personal, but a personal labor of love, I also need to, you know, support myself. So I have a real job too. And had a little less than a year ago, I took a major change, a major life change, and my youngest child graduated from high school, and I said, Mama's getting out of the house. Mama's moving. So I moved to Southern California, someplace I'd always wanted to move to, and I didn't know a soul down here really, and didn't have a job, but I made a connection and then, you know, got a job. And so moved down here, not, you know, starting a new job and in a new place and a new city and without my support system. And it worked out perfect. It was exactly what I was supposed to do. All the doors flew wide open, which to me is confirmation that I'm kind of in alignment with the universe and all is right. And so I work for a travel company and we do high-end corporate travel. And I mean, this is amazing over the top high-end corporate travel, like 5-star accommodations, 5-star dining, which is not necessarily even the way I mean, well, let's put it this way. I've never traveled like that. So, you know, I'm sure I would adjust to it just fine. But I'm really kind of more of a, I don't know, kind of mingle with the locals kind of gal and, you know, kind of learn the culture kind of by immersion. So I'm really one to seek out, but of course, you know, this high-end form of travel, but of course I've never had the opportunity. So it might be one of those, you know, sour grapes things where I'm saying, I wouldn't really like that anyway. So at my job, they all do these, my coworkers all go on these amazing trips. And when I was hired, I was told, this position is not a traveling position. We really need you to stay put kind of thing and run the show while we're all gone. Well, I knew differently because I knew that I was supposed to be traveling. For one thing, it's my passion. Another thing, my life is so set up to be able to travel that, you know, I'm done with my hands-on parenting. I'm, you know, don't have any pets. I can really be free to do whatever. So I just got the announcement last week that they think I'd be perfect for traveling and for leading these programs. And
surprise, surprise.
So yeah, so it turns out I will be doing international travel now, and my first assignment is co-leading a trip to India in October. And
wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. This is, you know, it's whole travel world has been put on the back burner since I was a mom and business owner and whatnot in my previous life.
Mm-hmm.
So now this has just opened up, and I just feel like probably more exciting than, well, okay, maybe not. I was going to say maybe more exciting than the travel itself, but maybe, nah. But almost as exciting as just, I changed my focus about how I believe the universe opens up for us, and how when you're really pursuing things that are authentically you and in alignment with who you are at your core, that the universe is going to accommodate that. It's going to open up for us, and we don't need to force things. It's all going to just, unfold. And I really have embraced that idea and poured my heart into it and believed it 100%. Didn't even think anything different than that. And as a matter of fact, I told Ed when I got hired, I said, well, they say I'm not going to travel, but I said, mark my words, I'll be traveling in a year.
Yes, you did.
So, yeah. So lo and behold, I put in my order, done. So that's the excitement is the travel. That's, of course, just amazing. But even more exciting is the idea that all of my ideology, all the way I have been thinking these last probably 2 or 3 years, that I really began to embrace the idea that the universe really wants us to have the desires of our heart and have our, live our lives authentically and embracing who and what we are at our core. And so this was just absolute validation and confirmation that was working, and that was how, in my world, that's how it's all turned out to be.
Okay. And I will say this also. I believe the fact that the three of us are together on this call, another confirmation of that timing, that synergy, and that convergence. I was thinking this as the both of you were talking. And once you two met each other, and you have so many similarities in your background, perfect. I mean, wow, amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is my follow-up. Today I was listening to someone speak, and they said the challenge that most of us face is the thing that is obviously not really a stumbling block or an obstacle, maybe a deterrent, a barrier, is the thing that we often have our greatest success in, okay? So Ellen, when you took that job and they said you wouldn't be traveling, that was a barrier, but you said in your own spirit, this is what you wanted to do. Leisa, when you put your information out there for free, and then your friend says, publish it, post it, and you finally do that, and all of a sudden, wow. Give me some feedback. How do you feel about that?
So either of us, or?
Yeah, either one.
Yeah. I think just like what Ellen was saying, that when we get really clear about what we want most in life, that's when the magic happens. And it is about, oftentimes I teach about this, that it is the area that we feel the most vulnerable in, oftentimes, that ties into the area where it's actually our deepest hunger in the world. The thing that we're here to do ties into that vulnerability. So it's almost like, because we think it's better to avoid being vulnerable with the world. But in reality, when we reveal our vulnerability, we, let go of the idea that we're all separate. We have to have a level of trust in the universe and one another, that we're going to be okay if we reveal that part of ourselves. And what happens when we do reveal that vulnerability is all the doors open that may have been even closed to us before because we're connecting with others. We're connecting at the deepest level of our being with others. You know, I had a retreat this past weekend here in Sedona that I hosted. And at one point, a woman started talking. She said, I'm about to tell you a whole bunch of things that I've never told anybody in my life. And, you know, we started listening to her go through a series of things that, you know, were pretty big for her. And we were so open and so loving. And by the time she finished, there were so many things happening. One, we loved her more than we could even imagine because of what she had revealed to us. Number two is she has a deep calling to be a speaker. And when she did that, it was very clear that if she spoke her truth and she shared these issues that she had to deal with around shame and guilt, that you could hear a pin drop in the room, right? Because everyone is going to want to know not just what she's gone through, but what happened to allow her to share this stuff with other people. Right. So that's been my experience, is whenever I come up against the things that oftentimes I have felt like hiding in the past about myself, and I get clear with them and I'm able to share them with others, I learn that that's actually where my magic is as a human being. So that's my take on it.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you one quick question. You said you had a retreat this past weekend. Do you do those periodically?
Yeah, it's funny because I would say you had the question of one thing for us, and I actually have two kind of realizations. I love being face-to-face. I run an internet business, and I love being face-to-face with people. And so part of our move to Sedona, Arizona was so that I could build a thriving retreat practice in addition to my coaching and my education programs. So yes, this was the first one. I've got 2 more planned this year. And then next year, I'll be having them in Sedona and also in Hawaii. And the magic of bringing human beings together to create a sacred circle where we're ready to go to the next place in our life and is just the most amazing experience. I love it. I love facilitating that experience. I also think that the world that we live in is very disconnected. We are not getting the face-to-face, heart-to-heart connection that we need. Social media is actually kind of making it worse for people. We think we're connected, but we're not at the deepest levels of our being. Mm-hmm. So what better way than to bring people together to achieve their dreams and also just feel, I think, more, it's like endorphins or something that come into us when we connect with people at that level. We don't get that very often as human beings, unfortunately, where we just feel like we could say anything and we're going to be totally accepted and loved. So those are the kinds of experiences I create with these retreats.
Okay, great. Ellen, did you want to follow up?
Did you want me to answer that same question, or did you want me to respond to it?
I want you to respond however you desire to respond.
So can you kind of just paraphrase that question again, just because I liked it. I just want to make sure I'm kind of getting it in context. It's the overachiever in me. I feel like I'm like a spelling bee. How would that be used in a sentence?
This is an open forum.
Yeah.
And I appreciate all of your input. Okay.
Yeah.
We were talking initially just simply about the events that happened in the last 7 to 10 days. Okay. But I'm kind of curious about maybe a little bit more than that. What else has come together to gel, to really kind of thrust you into that area of opening yourself up? You said it was a mindset change for you, I think is the way you put it. Is that the way you put it initially, years ago?
I think it's safe to say that. I think so. Over the course of the years, when I mean, not to go back, way back before fire, when I was born, but, years ago, we were, we were taught to be good little girls and be quiet and put your hands in your lap and, you know, be nice. And then we had this conflict with kind of that way of being raised. And then we came across the feminist movement, and it was, you know, go out there, burn your bra, kick ass, you know, and do all these things. And then, so there was a lot of conflict between being kind of accepted as being this sweet, wonderful girl, or being accepted with a different group as being this kind of badass chick. And I think I struggled with those, and I couldn't find any middle ground. And so my life kind of was this strange, confusing thing of trying to find how those things mesh together. Could I be both? Did I have to be one or the other? Could I be this woman who was, you know, soft and sweet and feminine, but also be just a badass gal, you know? And it took me all those years to realize, yeah, I can be that. And I like being that. I like being, you know, the gal that wears makeup and does her hair and who also, you know, can ride a dirt bike and, you know, go travel alone by herself in a foreign country and just think, yeah, I got this. So I guess it finally was just this, I had been in a relationship where I had really been kind of, you know, beat down emotionally, and was, of course, you know, when you're with somebody who's really insecure about their own self, they have to kind of keep you down so that you won't, in their mind, they think you're going to, you know, rise up and leave them. I mean, in that, you know,
Right.
In a nutshell. So when I finally unloaded that baggage and got out of that relationship, I just blossomed. And all of a sudden I realized, you know, well, I shouldn't say all of a sudden, it took a few years for me to kind of get emotionally healthy and realize I can be whatever the hell I want to be. And if that woman is, you know, a certain way that doesn't jive with what someone thinks, well, sorry for you, that's me, and I like me. And so when I came to that realization and that confidence and that kind of understanding and that way of being in this world and in my skin, honestly, just my world opened up. And I truly, you know, you and I have talked about this, and I just said this the other day, and my famous line over all the years of my life has been, what's so hard about that? I mean, how hard can it be, right? Like, you know, so someone says, oh yeah, you can't do your own taxes. I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, they make a program for that. Obviously I could do my own taxes, or, you know, Southern California with no support system. Why not? How hard can it be? I mean, people do it all the time, right? You know, so that was the way I was as a little girl, and I kind of let her get buried and morphed and changed, but she was always still there. And so now I kind of rediscovered her, and also brought along all this life experience and getting knocked down and, you know, dusted back off. And so I think for me, it isn't, it's just been this kind of steady realization, and then growing in that confidence to just realize, you know, I'm a pretty amazing woman, and as are all my sisters out there. And so, you know, I think we all just, that's what limits us really, I think, is that disbelief that we are these amazing women and that we can do whatever the hell we want to do if we, you know, allow ourselves to believe that we're capable and, you know, really pursue those things that are our gifts and our, you know, our talents and our skills.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow, I was like on a pulpit there. Sorry. I was like, whoa, amen.
Wasn't that impressive? We're going to wrap up.
Did you see me with a tambourine? Like, woo, like a little amen. Yes.
We're going to wrap up. I wanted to ask if either of you have any other final remarks or comments before we close.
I have one comment that I would like to make. Leisa, it was an absolute pleasure meeting you, and I love your energy. I'm a huge proponent in really trusting your gut with the exchange you have with energy, and yours is so cool and so good, and I'm just glad I got an opportunity to meet you. And when I hear about your success, I'm so happy for you, because I just love when women, you know, tap into all that cool stuff that they have, and you obviously have tapped into it. So, woo, yay!
Thank you. Well, likewise, everything that you've shared, I'm so inspired by this conversation. I know that other people listening are going to be just as inspired. It's just beautiful to hear of your experiences and how you've brought them into your work and into your passion. And I'm super excited. I really wish I could be in your suitcase and go on these trips. So I hope that you report back what it's like.
Yeah, I will.
Great. Absolutely. There's something I want to ask a favor of both of you. Today, when I was driving to stay with my dad here for a few days, this idea kind of popped in my spirit. And the idea is to take podcasts like this and to do them either regionally or, say, for instance, within a certain segment with women like yourself. Okay? So say, for instance, Ellen, you have a group of women that you know that are just a great group. Do a podcast with them together. Same thing with you, Leisa. If you have some women that you know are at that brink of being promoted, you want to get their name out there in a way through this format where people can get to know them. And we take this to a much larger scale. I truly believe that is what I'm supposed to do with this podcast. And what Ellen just said confirmed that to me. So I want you guys to think about it and to give me your feedback about it. I truly believe that we've just touched the tip of the iceberg here, and that this format can just blossom from here. Okay?
That sounds great.
All right. So, on behalf of Making Major Moves, I thank you for joining us today. Thanks to my luminaries. Love the conversation. What a convergence. I love this. Love it. And I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.